and welcome back to Forgotten Hollywood in my living room. Now, this time of year is when people are watching a lot of horror movies and scary movies and monster movies, and I occasionally get asked, what's something fun that I can watch with my kids? My question is, how old are your kids? You see, everything has a target audience, what it is designed for, to appeal to. If you look at Winnie the Pooh is designed to appeal towards infant to age about 6 or 7 probably. But if you look at most versions of Batman, they're more age range, probably 8 and up. Some of them are like 5 to 12. Some of them are like 15 and up. Depends on which one you're looking at. Because the level of intensity, the graphic nature of the crimes, these will vary based on what the target audience is. It's very important to know who the target audience is when you're choosing something for your family to see, especially when you have small children. My son just turned 4, so I'm careful to find things that are age appropriate for him. One of the things that my son absolutely loves is cars. I'm talking Matchbox cars, real cars, and of course, Lightning McQueen. The thing about Cars is it's more of a family film. It's got the fun comedy and the cars and stuff that's going to appeal to someone like my son who is 4. And yay, race car, yay, tow truck. Hey, look, they're running away from the combine. This is so fun, yay. But then also for the adults that have to watch the movies with the children, they have the more complex characters and the deep relationships and stuff that makes it entertaining for older people as well as the very young. Hollywood seems to confuse the target audience with the viewing audience because they say, hey, adults have to watch these programs with their children, but then they end up gearing the movie or TV show or whatever it is to the adults who have to watch it and not to the children that it is meant for. And this causes a problem. What am I getting at? Why am I talking about this in October? I am talking about Cars on the Road. It's this Disney Plus TV show uh, based on the characters of Cars, loved by many a preschooler. My son was very excited to see this because he loves Mater, he loves lightning. The first episode was about going to a dinosaur park, so it was like cars, dinosaurs, I'm happy. He was very thrilled. Then we got to the second episode. I don't know what they were thinking when they made the second episode, the target audience for Cars. The fans of Cars tend to be between the ages of 2 and 8. The second episode of Cars on the Road was based on the movie The Shining. This movie is rated R for a reason. There is graphic violence, not just violence, but graphic violence. There's nudity, there is dead children. It's not for young kids. But they based the second episode of this show for 2 to 8-year-olds on a movie for 18 and up. Did they think that these 3-year-olds were gonna get the references? I hope not. But they made this episode for the parents who are watching it. But you have an entire episode where the kids are sitting there going, I don't know what's happening. Why is the word race car painted on the door in red? Why is there antifreeze coming out of the elevator? Because if you like The Shining, you know what all these things came from. And those weren't even the only ones. It was a 7-minute story, and I counted 5 explicit references to The Shining alone. Not to mention other references to other horror movies and other scary scenes and images. Target audience, viewing audience, not always the same thing. But here's the thing, when you advertise something as being for a target audience of 2 to 8-year-olds, people are going to feel safe letting their children watch it. I mean, obviously, if this is something that is loved by 2-year-olds, you're not going to put anything really scary in it, right? Right? Apparently, Pixar didn't get that memo. I have read 3 reviews on this episode. I would have read more if more had been recorded on IMDb. But only one of them was positive, and that one came from a dad who loves The Shining and admitted that his kids didn't get the episode at all. Like they didn't understand anything that happened in the episode, but he was laughing hysterically and they didn't know what was going on. When you are making a movie for kids or a TV show for kids, that's not what you want the reaction to be. You don't want the kids to be, I don't get it. Well, the parents think it's great. If you're making something for adults, yeah, sure, go ahead. Go right over the kids' heads every episode. It doesn't matter. 2 of the reviews made it pretty clear that their kids weren't even going to watch beyond the 2nd episode because of how bad it was and how traumatizing it was for their 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds to be seeing these terrifying images in the world of Cars. One of the references is the famous 2 girls, often called twins, though in the movie they're actually different ages. And they say, "Come play with us, Danny," as he's flashing between seeing them standing there and seeing them dead on the floor. Then you have Cars on the Road, where Lightning comes around the corner and sees these 2 female cars designed like the girls floating in the air, looking at him, and they say, "Come race with us, Lightning." And then they become horrifying to look at and then become completely transparent with glowing red eyes. And I'm watching this going, is this going to scare my son? Luckily, in my case, my son wasn't actually paying attention to the screen at the time. He was playing with a toy. I kept looking down at him, and he's just like, "Do, do, 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 do. I have my cars." And so I was lucky. But not every parent was so lucky. At least one of the reviews said that their child had nightmares after watching this episode. So, yeah, it's to be viewed with caution. There are ways to put those references into a children's program for the adults as a sort of an Easter egg without traumatizing your target audience. Here's an example from Pixar. The same people who made that terrifying episode made Toy Story. And in Toy Story, when they are in Sid's house, the carpet is the same as the carpet in the hotel in The Shining. Apparently, the people at Pixar really, really like The Shining. But it's all subtle. Well, mostly subtle. There is the iconic scene where Jack breaks through the door and says, "Here's Johnny." That was parodied in one of the Toy Story movies that I didn't see. But having the same carpet, having the same radio, having someone with the same name, those are things that are not going to affect the story for the child. They're not going to confuse the child. And they're just a little thing to get a chuckle from the parents. You can also go with age appropriate references. The show The Simpsons is geared more towards more mature audiences. I am aware that there are kids who watch it, but again, target audience, viewing audience, not always the same thing. This is something geared more towards older people, maybe teenagers and older. But there was an episode of The Simpsons that did Edgar Allan Poe's A Telltale Heart. And it worked because I have had students in junior high that were reading and studying A Telltale Heart and understanding it and doing well. And so putting it in a program that that age group might watch, nothing wrong with that. Cars on the Road had a reference to a telltale heart in something for 2 year olds, 3 year olds, 4 year olds. They don't need to know what a telltale heart is. They don't need to see a trapdoor in the floor with a heartbeat. But really just keep it simple. If you want to make a reference, you can have, oh, it's a little bit of a spooky scene. We're going to have a raven. The adults, they'll know what that means. The kids, the little kids will go, "Oh, birdie." It doesn't affect the story, it doesn't affect the experience for the child or the adult in any negative way. That's how you do it. And what you are putting the references so explicitly that it can negatively affect the experience for any of the viewing group, especially the target audience, then you're doing it wrong. So when you're trying to pick a Halloween movie for your children to watch, just think about who the target audience is and make sure it's actually done right. Because as I said, Cars on the Road, target audience 2 to 8. Whole episode devoted to The Shining. And they had another episode that was felt to me like the X Files. It had Bigfoot and aliens and crazy people living in the woods. And I was half expecting to hear dueling banjos. It's it's much. I don't know who they have in their writers' room, but I'm trying to figure out, is the creator of Supernatural in there? I remember hearing what he wanted in the Christmas episode. Don't even get me started on the Christmas episode. But there are a lot of things out there that are done tastefully for families, like Casper, 1995. For very young children, like my son's age, I love the Winnie the Pooh Halloween ones, which are mostly focused on how not to be scared, how to get over fear, um, friendship. Those are great. I love Winnie the Pooh, but just be mindful of the fact that there are a lot of Hollywood writers that get confused between target audience and viewing audience. So just because something is advertised to kids doesn't necessarily mean it is for kids. So just do your homework. But there are stuff out there that is good. Wednesday's video is going to be all about funny ghost stories. And I hope you watch it. You get some ideas for what you can watch with your family to have a laugh and fun this Halloween season. Thanks for watching. If you like this sort of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps. Leave a comment if you've experienced this sort of thing, or if you have any questions about stuff that's age appropriate for your child. I have seen a lot. I can give recommendations. And remember to click that bell for notifications because YouTube has the bad habit of not telling people when someone has posted. And I will catch up with you next time.